Hey there everyone, how are you all doing today? Today's video is going to touch on something I'm very fond about, and it is knowing thyself so that you can navigate the different dimensions for ascension. Now, knowing yourself, I believe, is probably one of the fundamentals, the foundation of ascension. And the reason why is because everything starts on the inside. I am a firm believer that if we want to change the world outside of us, we first have to start with the change within. I believe that our external world is a direct reflection of our internal world, which means that everything that's going on inside of here is going to show up out there. And when we realize this, we have to understand that in order to make the changes that we wish to see in our world, we're going to have to first understand what we need to change about ourselves. And in order to understand what we need to change about ourselves, we need to really know thyself. And so knowing thyself is what I believe kind of one of the center point. It's where everything begins. And it's one of the reasons why I really love to meditate. Because meditation is a form of self-reflection. It quiets the mind. It brings you into a place of peace so that you can be more clear on what you're trying to perhaps figure out, maybe get some guidance on. And so meditation is really great because it allows, the reason why I love it is because it allows me to connect to my higher self, or what I like to call my inner teacher. And through this connection, I am also raising my vibrations. Meditation is a great way to raise your vibrations, your frequency, whatever frequency you're resonating at. So if you want to kind of be brought out of like that bad mood funk, meditation helps to bring you into a more peaceful place, which is a super high state of consciousness, which if you want to check out one of my videos, I'll have it linked at the end. I go through all the different states of consciousness and their energy frequency relation. But raising your vibrations is really good because when you get into that higher state of consciousness, you become more open and you're more willing to observe and be the witness to what's going on inside of you, which is really important when you're going to do your self-reflection. It also is really cool because I'm consciously choosing to connect, which means it's going to be easier for me to receive the guidance and wisdom coming in from my higher self or my inner teacher. So these are some of the reasons I really like to meditate, just so that I can start to understand myself. Now, when we go and do that deeper work, sometimes the deeper shadow work, it's really important to maintain a compassionate heart. We're very often hard on ourselves when we start to do some self-reflection, when we start to especially look at the parts of ourselves that we don't particularly like. I've been there and I'm still there, and it's a constant struggle sometimes to stay out of that place of judgment, which really doesn't serve us well, versus staying inside the compassionate heart. And when you're in the compassionate heart, you're really much more able to receive the guidance coming in or the insight that your higher self is trying to show you or bring into your awareness. And the reason is because of this. When you think about it this way, when you want to discuss something with someone, perhaps bring an issue to light to them, if you come in judging them from a place of judgment, accusatory, the first thing they're going to do is shut down. They don't want to hear anything you're having to say. And rightfully so, right? Who wants to be judged? No one wants to be judged. So if we actually go in and start judging ourselves, what do? We close down the lines of communication with our higher self, with what's really going on. So it's much easier when we come in with a compassionate heart, an understanding heart, an empathetic heart. Now there is the ability to receive the insight coming in. We're much more open. So always maintaining a compassionate place is really key in understanding who you are. Now, once you understand this level of difference between compassion versus judgment, you are now able to tap into the different feelings of awareness. Your different states of consciousness. You'll start to understand what it feels like. And you're going to know for yourself when you're acting from a lower state of consciousness or awareness versus a higher one. And that awareness is so key in the personal growth of yourself. It allows you to move through it much faster and perhaps not find yourself repeating old patterns and behaviors that don't serve you well and cause drama. So having the awareness of when you're in a higher state of consciousness allows you to leave the drama behind, which is great. We don't want drama. Drama is a super low frequency and a lower state of consciousness. Now, how does this all relate to ascension? So when you're in 3D, you are in those lower states of awareness. So you may be trapped in drama. You may be trapped within fear. You may be trapped within guilt or shame. This is how you know that you're acting from a place of third dimension. When you are in a higher frequency of, say, joy or peace, perhaps gratitude, you look at the world differently. If you're in a really good mood and things are just going your way for a day and someone kind of comes to you with bad news, you may view that bad news in a completely different way than you did had you maybe been in a different state of consciousness. And this allows you to perceive the news perhaps in a different way. Perhaps now that the news is being presented to you as negative, you might actually see it as a blessing. You may actually see a really positive aspect to this news that the person who's delivering it to you wasn't aware of. And this is the benefit of being in 5D, is that it opens our mind. It opens our awareness, our state of consciousness. And this is how we get to see things in a much different way. We get to see our world in a completely new and expansive state of consciousness. And that only perpetuates our further growth and understanding who we are. And once we understand who we are, we're then able to understand others better. We cannot expect ourselves to be compassionate with others, understand others, when we don't even know how to understand ourselves. So knowing thyself is so important, but also knowing thyself helps you navigate the dimensions through the ascension process so that you can better understand where you're coming from at any given point if you choose to have the awareness. When we are aware of what state of consciousness we're choosing to act from, we are making a choice consciously to either change that consciousness to a higher state or stay within a higher state of consciousness, which is really great. Now, if you don't have the awareness, what happens? Well, then you allow mass consciousness to dictate where you're going to be coming from. And if you take a look around at what the current state of mass consciousness is, it's hysteria, it's outrage, it's fear, it's anger, it's blaming, it's shaming, it's guilt. Do not want to take on that consciousness. It's our job individually to be responsible for our own levels of consciousness. And when we take the time to go in deep, do the work, and start raising it by knowing ourselves, we then assist others in raising their consciousness. You know, I really highly recommend that you watch the video that I'm going to put at the end, and it'll be the first video on top, because it explains how when you get into higher levels of consciousness, you as one person can powerfully affect, positively affect thousands, tens of thousands of people, if not hundreds of thousands of people, and possibly millions of people at one time, just you alone, depending on what state of consciousness you're in. And so through that video, I kind of take you through the different levels, and at the end, I tell you what the impact can be depending on which state you're in. And so knowing this information is really helpful, and it's inspiring, and it's great for us to have in our memory bank, just as a reminder that, hey, I may only be one person, but if I take care of me and I make me the best version I can, then I'm assisting others at coming out of that mass consciousness of the lower states that, you know, you get trapped in all the drama and it's so hard to get out of it, that you as one person can help those people out of it just by you working on you. And that's that whole concept of, you want to change the world, you've got to change yourself from within. And, you know, it sounds kind of cliche, and I know we hear it all the time, but it's so true, but it's so empowering. It's so empowering. So I just kind of wanted to touch on that, and how knowing yourself can help us navigate the different dimensions of ascension through the ascension process that, you know, many of us are aware of right now and that we're all going through. And you know, it is a bit of a struggle sometimes, you know, when you get thrown back down into 3D from 5D and all of that. So you know, if you're doing the work, keep at it. There is always light at the end of the tunnel. And you know, if you've got any stories that you'd like to share on or even tips that have helped you stay in higher states of consciousness, stay more in that fifth dimensional level versus falling back into 3D, I'd love for you to leave comments in below. I'd love to hear from you. And perhaps, you never know, maybe your comment might help someone else. You just never know. So that's all about like sharing the love and helping everyone out. We're a community, we're all connected. So I guarantee that there's always something that one of us can say that will help at least one other person. So thanks for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please hit like and maybe share it with someone that could use a little extra loving. And if you haven't already, you can subscribe to my channel. That way you'll stay updated on any new videos that come out. And if you'd like any more information about me, you can go over to my blog, inflexibleme.com. I have a newsletter there that you can sign up to if you'd like. And also, if you're interested in the spiritual journey and hearing a little bit more on what I have to say about it, I've got a podcast in iTunes with my two beautiful co-hosts, Lisa and Michael. It's called Enlighten Up, and you can find that there. I'll leave a link in the description below for you to link to. And if you have any questions that you'd love to ask us, we love to hear from our audience. So you can always email those into our email, which I'll leave in the description below as well. So thanks again, everyone, for stopping by. Remember that you are the change you're going to see in the world. And the more you get to know yourself on those deeper levels, the faster and more effective your change will be. Have a great day, everyone, and I will see you next time.